What's up, CroatianSports.com nation? Ante here with the boys for your Euro 2024 exit interview. Now that the dust has settled from Euro and Spain have been crowned European champions, here with the coach, the Godfather, Mr. Peter Novakovic. Pete is a FIFA licensed agent here in the United States of America. He brought Boca here in 2010 from Argentina, and was the former men's and women's coach at LMU in the 90s. So he is well looped into the MLS scene in the US. Pete, how's it going tonight? It's been a while since we chatted because Croatia went out so early in the group stage.
Yeah, it's been going fine. I mean, it was fun to have a summer of soccer, good soccer. It was fun to watch. I mean, I still continue to watch the Euros. I watch the games. I watch to see teams that progress. I watch to see also how some of my predictions would go. I will tell you where I had a challenge. I did have a little challenge. I had a challenge going from Euros to the Copa.
What, because of the fouls and the refereeing?
The fouls, the referees, and maybe just a little bit of quality of soccer.
Oh, you thought it was better in Copa?
I thought it was better in Euros.
Oh, of course. Oh, I thought you were
Yeah.
going opposite. Yeah.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to get to Marcus right now, but I think a Euro is a tougher tournament than the World Cup from start to end.
Well, yeah, no, it's a very tough tournament. You have some of the top countries, top nations competing for that cup. It's really a tough cup.
As much as I love watching the U.S. play Panama in football, it's come on, guys. But we'll get to that right now, and then we're being joined by Mr. Markus Deschanel, the pride of Montreal, Canada, staff writer here at Croatian Sports, and he takes care of all the U21 young prospects moving up. Marcus, good evening in Montreal.
Good evening, Ante. Good evening, Pete. Nice to see you guys.
Wait,
Yep,
It's been a minute.
it's been a minute.
We were just talking off camera right now. You're headed to Quad in a couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, Croatia and Portugal. So it's exciting.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna have a good. We'll do a podcast when you get back, talking about your beach, the hula hula and the Copacabana when you're over there. So we'll do a
That's
podcast just
right.
on that. You're gonna be like, you know what he's gonna say, Pete? He's gonna come back and say, "I'm not moving back to North America." Is what he's gonna
That's
say.
right. That's right. I'm leaving Montreal. I'm packing my bags.
You're gonna have fun. So safe trip, Marcus. Have fun. But just wanted to talk to everyone here today about Euro 2024 as a whole. Here we are in Croatian Sports. We're unedited, uninterrupted here for the next hour or so. But boys, now that all the emotions are taken out because we get so heated after bad results and bad draws. Pete, I'm going to start with you. Now that it's been some days since the Euro ended. How do you feel as a whole that how Croatia did with 3 games, 3 bad results? Spain, I think we give them a pass because Spain was the best team of the tournament, but Albania, Italy getting scored on at the death is just not good for business. So how do you feel based on your pre-tournament expectations?
Well, I definitely thought we'd get out of the group, so that was disappointing. Um, I really didn't underestimate Albania. I knew they would come with a lot of heart and passion, just like we do. I knew that. I've known enough of the Albanian community here in North America, and they really come. They come with that same desire and passion. The small country, try and put yourself on the map, get yourself out there on the globe. And so I knew they would come with a heart and passion. I didn't realize technically they're probably a little bit better than I thought they were. Listen, Spain wound up being the best team in the tournament. Who knew? So we ran up against the juggernaut the first game.
By a lot, Spain was the best team, I think, by leaps and
By far, guys. Spain was the best team by far. So when we hit Spain, it's like we drove a truck into a brick wall, and we didn't realize that.
Yep.
I think we're a step slower. I think we're a step less technical in some areas that we need, in some spots where we need to be more technical and maybe more skilled and have a little bit more maturity. But you've got to win those games. You've got to close out the Albania game. You got to close out the Italy game.
Look,
Simple.
you're talking about Albania, a team of our stature, after a loss in group stage, has to beat a team like Albania, and you have to close up, especially in injury time, and not concede a goal. So that was
Yeah.
a mistake. But what do you give overall? Overall, we know we didn't make it to the knockout stage. What do you give now that the dust is settled and the emotions are out? What grade do you give Croatia as a whole at Euro 2024?
I don't know. I'm probably like in the B minus C plus range.
Oh, that high.
Yeah, C plus. I mean,
Oh, that's
C
generous.
plus. C. Well, yeah, maybe not in the B range, but probably in the C plus area or C area. I'm not going to give them a D. I mean, they weren't horrific, but they didn't listen. You know, a C, you're barely making it by, and so I think that's what happened. I mean, and they didn't barely get by. They barely lost by. So you know, I'll give them a C to a C plus.
Oh,
The boys
average.
tried hard. I think. You know, I listen. When your lead guy's 39 years old, it's tough. I mean, you have to have other horses running, you know, for him and around him. So, you know, Luca, we can't rely on Luca like we used to, and we have to figure that out how we're going to play going in the future.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a transitional phase. I think that's very generous. That's a
What do you
generous.
give him an F? You give him an F?
No, I'm gonna give
I
him.
would I would go D or F, to be honest. I think we've built up enough of our reputation to at least be making out of the groups. Like round of 16 at this point, I think is an expectation with this group. So I'll go D because F would be like we lost every game and we did not even deserve to win. Whereas I think like we deserve to win against Albania because we turned it up in the second half, and Italy, we deserve to win on like because of the refereeing. That's what screwed us in the end. Although I don't think we played well following the goal that we scored. Like after that Modric goal, we just sat back and we shouldn't have. So I'll give them a D because like for me, it's we like I don't know if you guys saw the stat. At the end of the tournament, in our 3 games of play, we generated more expected goals, more chances than England did in their 7 games, and they made the final.
Crazy.
And we generated more chances than them in just
Crazy.
3 games of group stage. So because of that, I'll bump it to a D because it's like we were generating play. It wasn't a total shit show. But how do you generate that much and not score? Like not a single player could bag those chances in. It's a failure at the end of the day. This tournament, like there's nothing good that came from it.
I mean, we were unlucky. Let's talk about goal differential. Like Petkovic needs to score that penalty. That didn't happen. Budimir grazed by his knee. Stanisic had that shot against Spain. Like we could have easily been the only team at Euro to score multiple goals on Spain. Spain did not allow more than 1 goal in any game, and that's how you win a tournament. That's how you win a tournament. But how discouraging is it? This is what I said in my solo video a couple days ago. How discouraging is it that you start the tournament and get your ass whooped in the first 45 minutes, not knowing, because you won't know for another month, that team that put that ass whooping on you is the best team in the tournament where you can actually rebound from it. We didn't have a chance to rebound. The Albania game, we were all over the place with tactics and formation. And, you know, me, Pete, you, Marcus, we were all in shambles. What do you do with Vardiol? Bench Brozovic, all this stuff, and Dalic did start moving Vardiol, but that's when you go on tilt, and you know, in the poker world, you go on tilt. But maybe if you just keep it cool after the Spain game, going, this is the best team of the tournament, we'll be okay. But you don't know that on June 15th. You just don't know that, which kind of sucks. The order was wrong for us. We got scored on in the 95th against Albania, 98th against Italy. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. So because we kept games close, I'm going D minus. Pete, do you want to change? You're shaking your head. Do you want to change your grade?
No. I'll stay where I am. I mean, we created chances. We didn't convert them. That's not good. Or at least we created the chances. I mean, Marcus said it himself. We created more chances than England. They went to the final. You know, I thought there were moments where we played really good soccer. There were like, you know, 5 or 8 or 9 minutes where we played really good soccer. And then like either something would happen, we closely miss, or we scored a goal. Then we fall back into that shell position. I always thought, and I do think this in general in soccer, my tactic is that my best defense is a good offense. So if I keep pushing the ball up the field and I can keep the ball up the field, nothing's ever going to happen to me in the back because I'm being aggressive, you know. So I just felt we didn't have that. We didn't have that sense of urgency, especially in games that we had to win. I do agree with you on that. I don't, you know, when you don't know what you don't know, when you
Yeah.
run up against a Spain, who is literally, they were head and shoulders better than everybody, head and shoulders.
Everyone,
But
yeah.
nobody knew that until they whooped us 3-0. They said, well,
Yeah.
wait a second, where's the Spain team coming from? And they kept doing that to everybody. I
Everyone.
mean, they were stonewalling everybody,
Yeah.
you know, so, you know, I mean, listen, 3 goals is a lot for us to take, but you know, you've got to goldfish that game. If you're in a tournament like that, just like you said, if you're playing poker, you got to goldfish that game. You got to forget that game as soon as it's over. It's okay. We got 2 more games to qualify, and that's what we needed to focus on. And I just don't. I still think we were. It's like we got hit by Mike Tyson. We're still like a little bit groggy. You know, we were reeling from that punch.
But look, everyone was woozy. The fans were woozy. Dalic was woozy. The whole team was woozy. But look, I gotta give credit where credit is due. This one's going to my MVP of the tournament, Mr. Markus over here. Cheers to you with my Kona wave. Before the tournament started, we're talking about Spain and who we need to watch out for. And he goes, don't worry about Spain's veteran players. He wrote an article on this. He goes, watch for their wingers, watch for Nico Williams, watch for Yamal against Croatia. And what did those 2 guys do during the entire tournament, Markus?
They were probably the most threatening duo of the entire tournament.
Yep.
They pretty much won Spain. Because if you look at other facets of the Spanish team, like everybody stepped up their game, but Rodri, you know how world class he is, you know, and he still delivered that. And he was player of the tournament. Whether he rightfully won it or not is debatable. I think should Dani Olmo have started a few more matches? I think that's all his. And how different could our story have been here if we had a Dani Olmo on the pitch, eh? But anyways,
he's not ours.
That's done
hey,
with.
Cheers to Dani Olmo. Dani Olmo's gonna make some cash in his next transfer.
I hope so.
Right.
Someone's gonna camp from Dinamo Zagreb product, but like Markus, look, we'll bitch at each other here at Croatian Sports. The Croatians across the planet will come to us going, you guys don't know what you're saying, negative, this and that, blah 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 blah. You called out Yamal and Nico Williams on day 1 before the tournament started, so props to you. And in your review, you can go back to all the articles. You said these are the 2 most dangerous players Spain has, and together, Pete, their age I think is now 37 years old combined.
That's
crazy.
Players
younger than Modric.
Crazy, just absolutely crazy. But look, you mentioned England a couple moments ago with the less XG. Outside of Croatia not making it out of group stage, I thought it was kind of a boring tournament. There weren't that many games that were kind of blockbuster games. And I'll kick it to you, Pete. I mean, a lot were low scoring. What was it? Slovenia, Portugal was 0-0 went to penalties. As a whole, because I watched 90% of the games. Did you like Euro 2024 taking out Croatia out of the equation, going out early?
I mean, listen, I like soccer in general, right? So it's hard to say that, you know, I didn't enjoy watching the Euros. You know, did I want to see games be 6-5? I don't know. You know what?
Yeah,
sometimes
that's exciting. I'll watch
that's exciting to some extent, but also I'll tell you what, you got to really be tactical when you watch some of these games that go 0-0 and you look at what a team's trying to do and how they're trying to do it and how they're trying to get there. Portugal was looking for a draw probably in that game, or maybe not, or maybe looking to win it late at the end. I think a lot of the teams now, the strategy is, you know what? Keep the game close, keep it really tight. Maybe we can steal a game. It's almost become like hockey. You know, maybe we could steal it like in the last 2 minutes of the game. And listen, soccer was never meant to be like basketball. It was never a buzzer beater sport, you know, where you had 10 seconds left and you took a shot and you made it and the game was over and you walk off the court. Soccer was never like that. But I will tell you what, this Euro was like that. I mean, this Euro, think about all the late goals. I mean, we had two against us.
Yeah, we were the victims
late goals.
of that.
Look at all the late goals England scored that saved them. I mean, a lot of teams, and I think that was the strategy. Hey, you know what? Players get tired, and if you look at historical data, this is really interesting, guys. If you look, and I did a report on this about 10 years ago. If you look at historical data in soccer, most of the goals happen right before halftime and before the end of a game because guys are already thinking locker room. They're already thinking rest. You know what? I got to go for 3 more minutes. I'm going to rest. What they don't realize when they say that in their brains, they're already resting and they're still on the field. And the problem with that is things happen. Things happen when your brain goes to rest. Your body doesn't react. And so lots of the goals that happened, I wasn't surprised because I think coaches were, I think there's a lot more psychology in soccer now and behavioral science in all sports. And I think that they've realized that now and they said, hey, listen, we might be able to steal a game. I think a lot of people played to steal a game.
But that's where you have to train your team. That's where they sign up these psychologists about mental fortitude and staying
Absolutely. Listen, it's not just who can run up and down the field anymore. It's who can keep thinking clearly and seeing what's happening and how we need to be shaped. Listen, on a soccer field, you have to keep your shape, right? What killed us against Italy? We had no shape.
Yep.
We didn't have a defensive shape. We didn't have it. We lost our identity in that last 2 minutes of that game. We didn't have a shape. We didn't have a structure.
Yeah.
We don't have a structure. The building falls down. And that's what happened to us. We had no structure.
We took out our middle. We took out our cornerstone basically. But I mean, look, it is what it is. How many teams concede in a tournament back to back after death goals? I've been following this sport for 2 decades. I don't remember that back to back games, how unlucky that is. I don't know how we research that right now. But you know what I was thinking about against Italy? What would Joe Šimunić do right now? What would Joe Šimunić?
He would have hammered the guy in the midfield.
Taking the red card, not just walk straight to the locker room.
Hey, the smartest guy in the field was Danny Carvajal's red card.
I was just going to bring that up.
Danny Carvajal's red card. You know what? When he did that, I said he's the smartest player on the field. Take a red card in the last minute. Don't let the guy drive. Don't let the guy shoot. Take a red card 40 yards away from the goal. Who cares?
Yep. He was missing the next game anyway, too, because of too many yellow cards. So
yellow cards anyway. So he calculated that perfectly because he was missing a game. You stop everything. Your guys get back. You recover. You're in position. Now take a free kick. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Game now.
But imagine we clean out that guy, whoever it is, you clip him, whatever. At least
in the middle of the field. In the middle of the field, you just do a diving tackle. You just tackle him.
The trip is if Italy doesn't score against us, they don't go to the next round, and we would have knocked Italy out of the tournament.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't have gone through. They wouldn't have
3 points. Their goal differential wasn't good enough.
They wouldn't have gone through. So we could have said they knocked that out. But look, we'll talk about Croatian future on another show. We'll talk about the prospects and we'll talk about Modric and all those guys. I want to break down a couple other teams at this Euro. Let's talk about the obvious one, England. England, whether you love them or hate them, they're fun to talk about.
Honestly, England for me is like the way they played this tournament perfectly describes this tournament for me. Because like you guys were saying earlier, like Ante, you think this was a pretty boring tournament. Like my opinion is somewhat similar. I think this was a very average tournament with crazy moments. Like this was a moments tournament. On average, most games, there wasn't any like from start to finish compelling games. Like it was always like a Bellingham bicycle kick at the end of the game. Like that's a memorable moment for a lot of English fans. And even I'll remember that because I watched it live. But that game was boring.
Boring.
Like England
they should have lost against Slovakia. They were terrible.
But what
and
go ahead, Marcus.
Like the Lamine Yamal goal against France. The Spain-France game was one of the better ones I'd watched. But still, this 16-year-old kid scoring the game-winning goal. Was it winning or tying?
Tying because Olmo had
tying
that.
Goal.
Was it tying?
It was a tying.
Okay,
goal.
yeah, Olmo got the winner.
1-1.
That's right. Yeah. Some screamer from outside the box out of nowhere like that. Like that's a moment I'll remember for a long time, having seen that. You know, so like a couple of moments like that made this tournament a memorable one. But if you really dissect the games themselves, there wasn't anything like that 5-3 Spain extra time win over us last Euro, or the Switzerland 3-3 game with France where they beat them in pens last Euro. Like we didn't see that. Most of these games were in pens, or there was a clear-cut winner from early on, or there was a crazy moment that won the game. But from start to finish, it was there were a lot of games that.
Look, every tournament's gonna have moments, and I agree with you both going. it was a boring tournament with really sexy moments and sexy goals. But look at Spain, Georgia. Georgia went up 1-0 on that own goal in that game, and Spain didn't flinch. Didn't flinch. They said, we're going to play our ball, scores 4 goals. Here's my issue. Here's my issue with the Germany-Denmark game. Denmark scored that goal that was offside by a millimeter. Pete, you're looped into US soccer and FIFA and all that stuff. We got to change the offside rule, man. This is getting ridiculous. The offside rule was meant so you can't poach right in front of the goalie.
Right.
Now we're a millimeter off. I say, Marcus, you're in Montreal. You're a hockey guy. I think they changed it to the hockey rule. As long as one part of your body is in the neutral zone, before the puck gets in there, you're good to go. As long as one part of your body is with the defender, you're good to go.
It's actually the line, not even the neutral zone. As long as the tip of your blade touches the blue line, it's still good.
It'll increase scoring. It's gonna increase goals and more moments and all this stuff. But every single one of these first halves, I think there was only a handful that there was multiple goals. Like every single first half of these games was so boring.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the main thing with the offsides, there needs to be some kind of consistency. Like I'm not the one to kind of criticize the way the rule is, because I don't really know what the alternative would be. Like I don't have a suggestion for it. All I know is that like you just got to find some kind of, like in hockey, there's so much consistency with the rule. It's clear cut, it's visible. The only way it can be called wrong is if the camera angle somehow was covered by I've only ever seen it once where the player was in front of the camera and they really couldn't tell. Otherwise, it's clear cut, always the same call. They just need to find consistency. That's all. Like once there is, whatever the rule is, I feel like people really won't complain too much.
When has there ever been consistency in world football?
See, I don't think they want it. I don't think they want it, guys. I listen. How long did it take them to adopt, goal line technology? See if a ball went in. I mean, they've had the.
That's at least objective. That's at least objective.
I know, but I mean, we've had the technology for 20 years. They just implemented it in the last 6 years, probably, or something like that. I mean, so I don't know that FIFA wants everything to be super clear cut. I think they want some things to be subjective. It just fits, sometimes their agenda when they have one, which they usually do. And so I don't know. I don't listen, offsides. I think the offsides rule should be like, if you're like a leg ahead and your foot's ahead or something like that, and you're receiving a ball, then maybe you should be offsides. But like, if your elbow is like over the line or your nose is over the line, your head's over the line, you know what I mean? The thing about players when they're running and moving forward, their momentum, the top of their body should be ahead of their legs, right? So,
that's ridiculous. It's not fun. They score this goal. They're celebrating in front of 50,000 people. The whole world's watching. They go to VAR for a second for it to be called off. It just sucks. It's such like a party pooper move.
It kills it sometimes. But there was a lot of those. I think during the Euro, there's a lot of stuff that was ticky tack offsides. But then listen, there were a lot of calls. I mean, our guy from Spain against Germany. I mean, Cucurella. I mean, that was a handball.
I know
that was a handball, 1,000,000%. The Germans. I'm just surprised the Germans didn't put up more of a stink. I mean, I was shocked that
that was way out there more than Perisic in 2018.
He moved his whole body. He moved his whole body and threw his arm out, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
That's a handball. That's a handball. I think. Let me ask both of you this: the penalty that England got in the semifinal against the Dutch.
Not a penalty.
Not a penalty. Imagine if that's a Croatian player in the box getting fouled. We're not getting that penalty any day of the week.
You're not even getting the call. The fact that Kane laid there and started grabbing his leg. First of all, two things on that. If you look at that, first of all, the first thing on that was, and they didn't show it ever in the replays again. They showed it the first time, and it was up on ESPN.com. It was up on Instagram for a while. It was on ESPN.com for a while, and they took it down that same day. If you watch that whole 10-second clip of that play, the ball comes back out. Saka hits it with his arm and knocks it into Harry Kane. During the VAR replays, they never showed you that. They just showed you the tackle. Now I
didn't see that.
Yeah. So dig into it, Marcus. soccer handball.
So right here.
Handball into Larry to Kane, and then not only that, Kane shot that ball and missed. The tackle got him after he shot the ball.
I know.
It was a split second. Okay, so you could say, okay, the tackle was bad, but that didn't impinge him from scoring a goal. The tackle didn't get there till he shot the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why, to me, I'm like, okay, wait a second here. He shot the ball already. Had I tackled him and the ball was still at his feet, okay. But the ball was gone.
I know. I was shocked. I was at the bar watching it with my English CEO and a couple other guys. I'm like, there's no way they can give them the penalty. There's no way. But if they do, I wouldn't be surprised. And then they point to
I said no penalty too, but I said, you know what? They're going to give this to England because they want England to stay in the tournament. Listen, again, what's good for the Euros, right, guys? I mean, is it good for Slovenia to beat Ronaldo and Portugal? No, that's not an interesting game,
Sure.
I mean, so you got to think about that. Who's going to make? Listen, look at the quarters and the semis. They're all big countries, guys. All big countries.
But look, I'm going back to this. I'm going back. Let me put this back up on the screen right here. But this is what I was talking about. Okay, 16. You're gonna have some mediocre teams in the round of 16.
I mean, Turkey did well to last as long as they lasted.
Turkey did great, but you know what? I think even though England made the final, I thought they played like absolute dog shit. They didn't do much, and right behind them is France. France made it to the semifinals without scoring a goal in open play, one penalty.
Listen, France was one of the most boring teams this Euro. I mean, I'll tell you what, they always pegged France as being a number 1, 2, 3 nation. Belgium's in the top 5. I mean, come on, Belgium. Look where Belgium wound up. Belgium didn't even make it out of that first round. I mean, France, you're right. France had an own goal. They had 2 own goals, and they scored. Yeah, they didn't score a goal out of regular play. I mean, that's
still Spain in the semifinal.
Yeah, but that's disgusting for a country, that's always up there now in the last decade to be a World Cup contender and all that stuff. Come on, you've got to have in the offensive power you have. You can't score goals. You've got to score in these games. You've got to do something. I mean, I don't know. You know what? I think of France just like I do about Pogba, right? Pogba, they won the World Cup in 18. He was the big star, you know what I mean? All this stuff. He was the guy on TV with Fox that was like, secretly kind of like, Instagramming and sending them messages and doing all this little stuff. But I mean, but look at Pogba now. He's gone. You know what? I've got a funny feeling Mbappe is going to be gone in like 4 to 6 years. He won't be.
Too much superpower. The English squad and English media were saying that Bellingham was kind of mutinized by the English team just because of Adidas and him doing ads out there. But let me ask you this, Marcus. More disappointing tournament for you, England or France?
I was just going to bring up how people don't talk enough about France probably having a worse tournament than England. I think the only thing that kind of saves face for France is that you look through the teams that they played to make it to that semifinal, and they definitely had tougher opposition. I think they were in the second hardest group besides ours. They had Netherlands, Austria, and Poland,
Portugal,
or whatever. But Netherlands and Austria are pretty good teams. Like Netherlands is a semifinalist. Austria looked like a dark horse until surprisingly they lost to Turkey, even though they outperformed Turkey in that match, in my opinion. And then look, Belgium. I don't agree they're a top 5 nation, but apparently they are. Beat them. They beat Portugal, albeit on pens, and they made a semifinal. Like their play was terrible, but they went through decent enough opposition. Whereas England, the only like strong team they faced before the final was Netherlands, and even then, could you even argue Netherlands had a good tournament?
I mean,
they came 3rd place in their group, and then they had to play Romania and Turkey to make a semifinal. They had such an easy path as well.
So easy, but look at England's path. Okay, they got Serbia in the opener.
Yeah.
They got Denmark. Denmark's decent, but they're not, world class. 1-1 draw there, and then they draw Slovenia, and then England goes in knockouts. Cookie cutter draw with Slovakia. Get lucky, get a Switzerland. I thought Switzerland was going to beat them there, and then they get the Dutch. But look, we got to give credit to Spain here. Spain had to go through Croatia. Yeah, we didn't have a good tournament, and Italy. So the reigning European champions and Croatia were coming off.
Spain had the toughest path, guys. They had Germany. They had the home country team.
Yeah,
And
Germany at
a
home,
well-performing
France.
home country team too. Like,
Yes,
Germany's
yes.
second best team this tournament.
Yeah, and I almost hate how these roads happen. We did have the easier path in 2018. You're not gonna not go that route, but Spain trucked through everyone. Spain trucked through everyone. The best 4 teams in the world, maybe minus Argentina.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
would
I mean?
agree.
But that's what it goes. I go back to my point. The first 45 minutes of the tournament, we got absolutely steamrolled by the best team on planet Earth.
Yeah, I would agree.
And you don't know that until they're on, they're in Dubrovnik, ripping cigs out there watching the games on TV. They don't know that. It's too late. It's too late. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you were
No,
saying this.
listen, they were like a tornado, guys. They hit us like I mean, it was, I'll tell you what, that game was over before it started for us.
I know it sucks, but it's the reality. But do you feel less bad about that loss knowing what Spain did this tournament?
Yes.
Yeah, like a bit, because there's a shock element too. Like, of course, Spain, it's a big team no matter what. You're prepared for that game, but I don't think anybody was expecting them to be this good. So there is that element of like, wow, like we were the ones that had to get that first pumping, and then everyone
Right.
else was ready for
I
Spain to be
know.
good.
But look, do you remember in
Yeah,
2018 when all of our players, even our mediocre players like Versalco and Strinic, they were all outperforming? You have Rodri playing out of his mind, Olmo playing out of his mind, Morata scored a goal or two, and then you have your teenagers, Nico Williams and Yamin Yamal, just playing lights out. That's a team effort. That's it.
Guys,
yeah.
Danny Olmo took Pedri's spot. I mean, he came in from the bench and kept that spot. I mean, he wasn't a starting 11, and then Danny Olmo was their guy. He scored a couple of great goals. I mean, that was a real team effort. And I'll tell you what, Spain is the team to be reckoned for going forward here. They can do what the other Spain did in the early 2000s and mid 2000s. I could see Spain doing it again.
Pete,
They're going to be scary at the next World Cup.
Yeah,
this
very
team
scary.
isn't getting any. They don't have any like Rodri and Modric. He's going to be on next tournament. Like, he's not going to be pushing 40. He's going to be early 30s.
Right.
The guy's fine. And then Lamine Yamal, if he continues his trajectory, Nico Williams as well. Those two could be even better in 4 years, in 2 years.
I agree.
They're going to be probably tournament favorites, because going on the topic of Argentina, I don't think they look impressive at Copa at all. I think Spain wipes the floor with this Argentinian team in the Finalissima.
I think so too. I think it just depends on the refereeing you get, because I mean, I'll tell you what, that Copa, man, those guys were killing each other.
Dude, it was MMA out there.
It was studs up in the air. It was, it was absolutely crazy soccer, and it was
Pete Marcus. It was MMA on the field and in the stands.
Oh yeah. Well, you see, like, so a friend of mine went to the final. He was there in Miami. He told me the night before the mayor was on all the networks, begging people not to come to the stadium because the game was sold out. So you have 75,000 people in the stadium. My buddy told me another 75,000 people showed up without tickets.
People were crawling in through the vents.
They were climbing the fences. Apparently, they did like $10 million worth of damage to the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium down at Miami Dolphins Stadium. And guys, I was down at that stadium in 2017 because we played beginning of 2018. We played a friendly against Peru there, and I was there. It's a nice stadium, but they destroyed it.
Wow. South Americans, man. I remember hearing stories. You weren't at the Argentina game in 2018 in Russia, Pete, but all my Croatian buddies said they're fans because we whooped them 3-0. Not pretty.
They were beating people up in the hallways. I heard, like, in the corridors of the stadium, they were beating some of our people up. Yeah,
they beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah,
beat the shit out of everyone. But that's
they get very crazy about their soccer. I mean, it gets very personal for them.
Well, look, they're. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're on top of the world. Spain will dethrone them next time they play. Finalisma, it's a friendly. I don't really care about that, but we'll see what happens in 2 years here in North America. But I want to talk. You mentioned this earlier, Pete. Copa versus Euro Cup, and I thought you were going to say Copa was a better tournament.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
Not
All right.
even close.
Copa quality wise is worse, and just the way the tournament was run, and like the weird rules they have too. Just like it's so stupid. It's such a Mickey Mouse tournament. Like penalties after 90 minutes.
Yeah. Why?
Like why?
Yeah, but then
Reduced field sizes. Every
you don't.
field
But
was
then in the
smaller.
final, you don't do that.
Yeah, like why? I don't know. Maybe it was just to give Messi a little extra rest.
Jesus. Did he play? Is he gonna go out with Finalismo next year and call it, or is he gonna play in North America?
Listen, Messi will play as long as
It's
other
hard to
guys run
tell.
for him.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and then we'll get the hell out of here, because you can't really talk about Croatia when you only play 3 games at a tournament. So we're gonna look. Our next game's against Portugal in September. We got a lot to look forward to. Nations League, the World Cup qualifying draws in December. So we got a bunch of
I hope we don't get some crazy group again. We need a break. We always get a tough group. The last couple of times we've gotten tough groups.
Who qualifying?
Yeah.
Not really. We had Wales and Turkey in our last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want Spain and Italy.
No, we couldn't get paired with them. I think we dropped to 12th in the world rankings today.
Or
Hey,
13th.
guys, the Belgian waffle elephant in the room. How the hell is Belgium still ranked? They're 6 now.
How are they still top 10? Like
Yeah,
they
why are they
fell,
top
thank
10?
God, but I don't understand.
Well, they top.
Oh!
Where did we go? The U.S. Where did we go?
U.S. or Croatia?
U.S.
They're like 14 or 15 with Mexico.
Just a bit below Croatia somehow.
So it's crazy because a month ago Croatia was 10 and USA was 11, which is crazy. Crazy to me.
How? No, seriously, how?
How do you take a team that loses to Panama and make them number 11 in the world?
I don't understand how Canada hasn't topped US at this point.
Absolutely. Canada, Canada, I'll tell you what, I know Jesse Marsh. I remember Jesse Marsh when he played for Chivas USA down here in LA, Ante and he was a tough player, hard-nosed, knew the game. I knew him when he was coaching the team down here, and I had a lot of discussions with Jesse Marsh. He's a great choice for Canada.
Yeah.
He'll do things with that team. He's a really good coach. He has international experience now in Germany and Austria. I mean, he's a good coach. That was a good. I'll tell you what. They asked him point blank the other day if he would take the U.S. job. He said he wouldn't take it. He wouldn't even think about it.
Good, smart.
Yeah.
Smart response. But like, I can't believe we're talking about Canadian football right now. I'm a Canadian hockey guy, like Patrick Waugh. That's a legend right there. If like that's my guy right there with the Canadian.
That's a Quebecer too, right?
No, you know what? Guy Lafleur was the guy, guys. When I was a kid, Guy Lafleur. He was the guy, man. He was Guy Lafleur, and he literally flew on the ice. And you had the two Mihaljevic brothers and Pete and Frank, and it was unbelievable. I'll tell you what, those early Montreal Canadian teams back from the late 70s, early 80s were unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That was a different time. That was what, the Philadelphia Broad Street Bullies.
That was Philadelphia Flyers. That was Montreal Canadiens. The Blackhawks were always in the hunt back then.
I didn't know you were a hockey guy.
I like hockey a lot. Well, I grew up back east.
All right. All right. Hey, how about this? Next time the Canadians make the playoffs, we'll fly up to Montreal. We'll buy Markus.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel bad for. I mean, it's Canada's game. I do think it's Canada's game. I feel bad they haven't won the cup for a while.
Soon. Montreal has a nice crop of youngsters right now. It's looking good.
Good.
Give us a couple years.
You guys have been saying soon since '93, man.
No.
You know what?
This time for real.
When a state like Florida wins a cup, you just might as well jump in the ocean and drown.
The Kings have 2 cups this century. The Ducks have it. The Lightning have a couple cups.
Kings are stuck in a mellow now, though. They're not going anywhere. They're kind of They're looking for first round exits against the Oilers year after year after year now.
Yeah, they do.
Three years
The
in a
Oilers
row.
have their number. I've been actually to Staples Center when the Oilers have knocked them out. The Oilers just have their number. They kill them. But I'll tell you what, my New York Rangers didn't do bad this year.
They did really good. They did.
I had them losing in the final to the Oilers. That was my original prediction.
Oh, really? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I thought the Rangers did well. I thought they should have made it. I mean, Panthers were just too much for everybody. They were a handful.
I don't know. They were up 3-0, and then their buttholes puckered there for a second.
They did, but I tell you what, Kachuk and those boys. So Kachuk's dad used to play for the Rangers.
Who, Keith
Okay.
Kachuk?
Walter Kachuk.
Walter Kachuk. Is that the grandpa? Keith Kachuk played for the Blues, right?
One of the Kachuk brothers played for the New York Rangers.
How many
Might
Kachuk
be,
brothers are there?
Fuck,
I
there's
don't know,
so
but
many.
it might be his uncle. But look up New York Rangers. There was a Kachuk on the Rangers back in the late with Eddie Giacomin and those guys in the late 70s.
We're gonna discuss this at Dantana's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Are we due for a Croatian sports Dantana's night?
Yeah, absolutely.
We got who else are we gonna call in LA? Who's you gotta
We'll get Zorich. We'll get we can get anybody.
who makes the cut? Who makes the cut? Marcus, you gotta move to the West Coast, man.
Marcus has got to come down.
The weather's better, the babes are better, and the hockey's better.
The hockey.
The hockey. All right, guys.
Unfortunately.
This is what I was thinking, and we'll use it on another episode. Just one word answer. What's a better tournament? Sorry, what's a harder tournament to win, World Cup or Euro? Marcus?
World Cup.
Really?
Yeah, I think my opinion on it is that it's easier to get out of a World Cup group stage, but it's harder to win it because you do have Brazil, Argentina. That is a huge factor in there. Like when they're good, and even you could have Colombia, Uruguay that are like would be a good European side as well. I look at them like when they're good, they're like a Netherlands kind of team. Whereas Euro is more condensed, like having all the good European teams together, you're more likely to run into one of them, which is problematic. But at the end of the day, you have like 3-4 obstacles less to win the tournament. So I think World Cup is stronger, but Euro is probably like just about as because of the prestige. It's not worth like a World Cup, but winning a Euro is probably just nearly just as hard.
Hey Marcus, look at this road for Spain. Look at that road for Spain. And
that's a tough road.
And they had Italy and
Yeah.
Croatia in group stage.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a tough road. You know what? Here's what I would say. I would say that winning a Euro is like being able to get out of quicksand because it's more dense. But winning a World Cup is harder, I think, at the end of the day. I just think I know,
Yeah.
Ante, you're over there. Ante, you're saying you think I do think the Euros is very hard because I think when it gets down to the last 8 teams, it's so powerful. There's such strong teams, those last 8. And the World
it's
Cup,
not
you
in
always
Euro?
have some,
And it's not in Euro?
no, I'm saying Euro it is. I'm saying Euro it is. When you get to those last 8 teams, it's so strong. When in the World Cup, you could always have a couple of guys, the last 8, there could always be somebody in there that doesn't belong. And if you get them as a team, you could probably get into the Final Four. But in the World Cup, you have to be lucky sometimes too. I mean, guys, look at what we did in 18. I mean, we had a path that was favorable to us, and I mean, so many overtime games, so many penalty games I take everything with a grain of salt now. I mean, we lost these games by close, but listen, look what we did to Denmark. Look what we did to Russia. Look what we did to those countries there. I mean, we dashed people's dreams. I mean, we crushed them. Argentina, we crushed them.
We rode that 18. We rode that 18 wave, and look, we've all been in locker rooms. Momentum is a living, breathing thing in a locker room, and when you want to fight for your coach and your captain and your boys in that locker room, and you want to kill for them. That was special, and we had that in 18, and we pulled it out of our ass in 2022 on that run. Like we could say that we beat Brazil in the quarterfinal of a World Cup in penalty kicks, and Petkovic out of all guys scored the equalizer. Like we've had some unbelievably lucky moments, absolute lucky moments that we can posterize, and then we've had some absolute just disasters of like
so here we go. So I think that's what was so shocking for everybody. We've been riding on this great wave for the last 8 to 10 years almost, and then I think it was so shocking for everybody that we hit this brick wall called Spain, and we looked like we were a bunch of kids out there. They totally toyed with us. They destroyed us. And so I think that was hard for everybody to swallow because we haven't seen a Croatia team. We haven't seen something happen like that to a Croatian soccer team for a long time.
But you know what? You know what, Pete? Spain's our daddy. We have to say they're our daddy, and we need to start calling them papa because every time we play them, they just put us over their lap and spank us.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, Nations Cup. I mean, that game. I mean, I still fought over that game. Thinking we should have won that. It's some of the best soccer we played, but Spain finds a way against us. They also have very passionate players and good players and smart players. So, and that's why I think that going forward, guys, I wouldn't bet anything against Spain winning everything.
I think they're gonna catch that same momentum they had in 08, 10, and 12. I mean, they won as a footballing nation
Everything.
tournaments in a row.
Everything.
3 tournaments in a row.
Guys.
That's unheard of.
Guys, they won everything. Everything that was thrown in front of them, they won. I mean, they were unbelievable.
Yeah. All right.
And you know what the big thing is? They're playing different soccer now. That's not
more tiki-taka holding. They're playing attack.
No, they're playing direct now. They got wingers. They play direct. They send balls down the field. They send 40, 60-yard passes down to the wingers. Those guys run onto them and catch them. And they get them,
Imagine when we actually get to play with real-life wingers on our team. That's going to be an exciting time. I can't wait. Look, Marcus is shaking his head over there. He's huffing and puffing over there.
I can't wait. Listen, there's a couple younger guys I might be writing some articles on soon and to keep an eye on in the HNL this season.
Marcus, give us 2 guys. Give us 2 young guys that you really like right now.
Well, right now, I think one guy everyone's raving over is the Hajduk kid. He's only 16, but look, so's Lamine Yamal. Bruno Durdov. He's looking good. He's scoring and assisting in every single preseason game. And listen, I haven't watched a full 90. I don't know where to watch these preseason games. I've just been watching clips. But he is like a Saka kind of winger, direct, quick. He's good on the ball. He has a good shot. He's good with his left and right. That's what we need. We need pace and we need directness and dribbling. And that's what he has. And he's very young, but people are already calling like for a potential starting spot, at least a roster spot at the very minimum for him. And he's only 16. He's younger than Yamal. He turned 17 like December.
You just compared Durdov to Hajduk friendlies to Lamine Yamal that we just saw him at Euros. They can't even.
I'm making
right now.
Of course. I'm just making.
No. I want so
they're both the same age.
Who's the second guy, Marcus? Who's the second guy we got to watch out for?
For as a winger.
No, as a player, I don't care. Number 10, I don't care. I don't care where he plays.
Okay. Well, I'll stick to winger because he's the guy that I was just thinking off the top of my head. There's a guy in Rijeka right now. I'll be 1 second. Let me just find his name because I looked him up earlier. Shimun Butic. He's 18, so a little bit older, but he turned 18 recently. And he did have an appearance last season against Slaven Belupo, played 26 minutes. He's been playing in all their preseason games, and he's been scoring almost every game as well. I haven't seen as many clips of him as Bruno, but he also seems pretty dynamic, quick, and like a production winger. Like he looks like he knows how to score, and people are calling him as a Piazza replacement right now for Rijeka, and I'd love to see that.
I know,
see another 18-year-old getting the start. So.
Here's my thing. We had decently aged wingers on this team. And if you don't play the guys, and if you wait until they're 25, 26, what's the effing point? You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to gamble with the kid or two. And if Dalic already said, I know Dalic is for sure only having 2 more years, but if Dalic said, I'm going to die with my veteran players, we could put out a million prospects. It doesn't matter. So Pete, you coached. You're a real life coach. We're just armchair managers over here, me and Marcus. Where on a team, a veteran soccer teams that if you have a team of, they're all 25-year-olds, how do you integrate a 16, 17, 18 without messing up team chemistry in the starting 11?
You got to integrate them slowly. I think you get them into games, but then you got to get them into real games that matter too. You know what I mean? You got to put them in some pressure situations. I'll tell you what, if you don't do that, you look in Spain. Spain was in a transition, but look how quickly they came out of the transition to this Euro with a real team.
Very quickly.
Spain transitioned between the World Cup and this Euro unbelievably in the last 2 years. Yeah. Exactly. So you have to play younger guys. You have to start putting them in situations. You have to start putting them in all the friendlies. You know, you have to get them in big games to see what they can do. You can't wait for the big game and say, oh my God, what do we do now? Let me pull a fire alarm. Oh, let me put the 16-year-old in. You don't do that
Yeah.
because it's not right. They're not ready. It's not right for them. You know, you have to get them in big games. And so if we're going to transition well for 2026, we need to get younger players in now, and they have to play in real games, in real qualifying games. They have to play.
Is Dalic going to do that? Is Dalic going to
Listen, I'll tell you what. If he doesn't, and we get a tough group, we might not qualify, and that will be a disaster.
You can't say that
no,
out. You can't say that out loud around here.
I can say that out loud. If you do not step up your game and change a little bit of tactics, and if you learn nothing from this Euro, you better be careful if you get in a tough group for the World Cup qualifying.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. We have tons and tons to talk about. You know, this August and this September going into Nations League against Portugal. I'm gonna get you guys out of here. What you guys have a final thought for me on the next month, 2 months of Croatian football, Markus?
Yeah, I would just say basically I agree with what Pete just said. Like, it's all about the transition now. We've had faith in Dalic, and he's produced results upon results upon results. This is his first true failure, honestly. And if he can, I think he's earned the chance to kind of make up for it. So see how he doesn't qualify and see how he does in Nations League. If he doesn't make any changes and it's the same old results, and we keep playing like the team that we were in these group stages, then there's going to be issues, and there's something to talk about there. But let's hope we see some more Sucic. Let's hope we see some more Baturina, a little bit of Piazza, a little bit of Marko Pasalic right now. Those are the young guys-ish now that we need to see. These guys I just mentioned, that's to watch for in the Croatian league. They're not touching the national team anytime soon. So
they got to play them.
Let's hope in these next 2 years we have a couple real revelations. Sucic becomes a good starter, and
we need to find guys. We need to find 2 or 3 additional stars in the next 2 years.
We need 1 or 2 more Guardiols to replace the old guard in different positions, and fuck a striker too, please. For the love of God, let's just get
Roko Simic has to pan out. Roko Simic is my guy.
Right now, he's not looking good.
I know.
Salzburg doesn't want him anymore.
I know. Hopefully he figures that out. Otherwise, he's going to be mid-20s. And then
Matanovic might start for Frankfurt. We'll see how that works out. If he gets to start for Frankfurt and produces, I think the eye goes to him.
We got to look. We got the pieces. We just got to put them together. But
and they have to be. And you know what thing? Marcus is right. They have to be playing at good clubs in Europe and getting playing time, because that's what you'd experience too. When you play in Europe, with some of the bigger leagues and the bigger clubs, these young guys, that is a great experience for them.
That's part of the equation, and that's where we're gonna have many months here to discuss that. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. For everybody, Ante here, Pete Novakovic, Mr. Markus Lulic, Deschanel in Montreal. We'll do better next time. Love you guys. Markus, hula bar, baby. First round's on me. You're gonna have such
hula bar, Markus. We're gonna be calling you at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
He's gonna be calling us at 5 a.m.
You know what? Throw your camera in the ocean.
All right, guys. See you later.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.